Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, May the 14th, and it is Mother's Day here in Canada, as well as I believe in the US and potentially other locations. We are having a glorious sunshiny day. The weather is beautiful and sunny. The forecast for the next 10 days is glorious. Slurpy weather, out on the balcony, enjoying the sun, things that make me very, very happy. And also meaning that with those kind of temperatures here in the afternoon in the sunroom, it's a little roasty. Lovely in the evening for stitching, but in the middle of the day it's a little bit roasty. I've had the fan going on in here just to try to cool it down a little bit. Windows open, so you may hear the kids playing next door. But if I get a little glowy, you'll know why. Yes, it's Mother's Day, so once I get this filmed, I will start the uploading process, and then I, of course, will be running over to my parents' place and spending some time with them on Mother's Day, you know, etc., etc. My dad, of course, is climbing on Saturday, so we'll get to hear how his climb went. The May long weekend is coming up, and the forecast for that is glorious. Ugh, the weather. Now, little worried on a couple of fronts. One, if it's these kind of temperatures here in May, what are July and August going to look like? Because I don't have air conditioning in my house, so I might be spending some quality time at night sleeping in the basement. Anyway, and as much as I love these temperatures, these are not great temperatures for the wildfire situation here in Alberta. Sorry, I've just noticed I'm having a collar issue. The things you notice on Flosstube. There we go. So the wildfires continue to be burning in the north of the province. We did get some rain this week here where I am in the southern part of the province, but the north did not get any, and certainly not any to the extent that they need. So that's not good for them. So as much as I love the weather, I would like to see some rain in the next month, like decent rain. And it was funny because I was listening to one of the weather reports. So it's talking about the wildfires in the north. We're at least down from 100 wildfires. I think we're now down to about 80 wildfires. About 27 or 28 of them are out of control still. You know, probably just under 20,000 people have had to evacuate their homes. There are more that are on notice that may need to evacuate. It's been interesting listening to the reports because they're like, pack your bag now. I'm like going, I'm with you on that one. I've said that myself. If you're in those areas, pack your bag now because you just never know. I've said this even last week. I always think back to the Fort McMurray fire and, you know, the fact that people like going, okay, when they do it, I'll have an hour to pack. And things moved so and changed so dramatically, so quickly that they were like, you've got 15 minutes to get out. Anyway, so there you go. I'm also going to say this is not one of my better hair days. I'm looking going, but anyway, I feel like it's going to fluff out as this. Anyway, there's nothing I can do about it now. Fortunately, when I go see Mom, she will not care what my hair looks like because she knows I am new to the having hair that has wave or curl in it whatsoever, and I don't know what to do with it, so she'll be totally fine with it. All right, with that, let's get into, if you're a new viewer, thank you for stopping by and spending some time with me. And as always, many, 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 many thanks to those of you who come back regularly and catch up on my crafting journey, see how I'm doing. Congratulations to all of you who made it through the movie last week. Cheryl kind of said, well, you could do it in two. And I'm like going, no, I'm doing it and getting it over with. Because then I can get on with like getting stuff put away. I'm not done putting away Hollapalooza yet. There's still some fabric things I've got to do. But anyway, making progress. Okay, so from a comment perspective, okay. So thank you to those of you who put the comments about all the lovely comments on the Hollapalooza and the sale and the, you know, how many of you wish that there was a sale like that where you are. Hey, talk to a charity. You just never know. And I really do think it's the fact it's like, here's a place to donate crafting supplies. You know, so for some people, they might not go like, you know, fabric is necessarily crafting, but think about it from a quilting perspective. But there were people there looking for fabric for other things. You know, I feel like it's like a bring all your excess crafting, not going to be used things to this sale, and it will go to a good home one way or another. So you just never know. You could be the impetus for a meaningful sale, crafting sale in your location to help a charity of your choice, with a crafting focus. It's been going on for a number of years here, and you know, it's funny talking to Cheryl because she goes like, every year the level of donations are the same. Like they've never had a year where they're like, man, we really need some donations. Every year the level of donations are about the same. Anyway, it's fantastic. So thank you for all the lovely comments on all of the haul. Here's hoping I actually put some of it to good use by the end of the year, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, Lisa B, I enjoyed your comment because she was going, I was so grateful that you turned your head, because last week, of course, I was wearing my fascinator in honor of the coronation, and Lisa was like going, I was wondering how it stayed on your head, and at one point when I turned my head, she was able to see the headband. I do have some other fascinators where, you know, same, it is a headband type concept, but it's very thin and very dark, so when it, in my hair, unless you're looking very carefully, it can look like you don't know how that thing is staying in my hair. Anyway, maybe over the life of this Flosstube channel, you will have the opportunity to see all of the fascinators that I have. Lala, I enjoyed your comment that you would be interested in doing specialty stitches. That was great. And she said, because she's blaming me, and for once not Cheryl, she's blaming, excuse me, she's blaming me because I got her interested in the drawn thread sampler stitches. And, you know, to the same extent that Cheryl is completely unrepentant, I love getting people to try specialty stitches, because there are so many people out there that are go, I can't do it, it's too hard, like it looks complicated, I'd never be capable. And for the vast majority of them, once they get in there, they go like, okay, this isn't so bad. Yes, you need to do a little bit of thinking. This usually it isn't a mindless activity, but usually once people get in there, they go like, no, I can do this. I can do this. This shouldn't hold me back from anything. So glad I could help you too. And this one is just going to drive me nuts. I don't know what to do about it. Anyway, we'll move along. Cheryl did leave a comment on last week's Flosstube that, yeah, she laughed and smirked it, you know, through the thing, and particularly every time I mentioned her name. And she has agreed in writing, in a comment on my Flosstube channel, that she is willing to help me with my finishes as penance for all the problems she has caused me. I have it in writing. And I am the kind of person, I've even taken a screenshot of the comments so that even if she goes in to delete her comments, I still have a picture of it to hold her to it. Not that I think that she's going to bail on it, but, you know, I'm going to say, you put it in writing. Here's where it is. Anyway. And then Victoria left a comment that she was hoping that I should get a video clip of Cheryl laughing maniacally, so that every time I use her name in vain, I can just insert this little clip of Cheryl laughing. I don't think Cheryl's capable of laughing maniacally. You know, she usually comes out and says, I'm so glad I could help. And it just doesn't have the same effect as when I go, Cheryl. Anyway, I'll be seeing her on the weekend. I'm pretty sure that I and, you know, some of the other stitchers who will be coming to stitching at the library will, you know, we'll take a run and see if she can laugh maniacally. And Cheryl, if you have a chance to watch this before you come to the library, maybe you could practice at home and we'll see. All right, that's it for the comments for this week. Now, there are some follow-up items from last week's video. You wouldn't think that there are, but there are. So one of the comments came from Rachel Q, who said she's like, okay, you know that magazine you bought for the fabric? What are the fruit pictures on the back, and can you hold that up? And I absolutely can. So these are Stony Creek fruit tarts. Now, I will tell you that I did go onto the Stony Creek website, and it doesn't look, because these were kits. Pick your favorite fruit from Stony Creek's delicious new kit line. Each kit includes 18 count 8 of fabric, needle, floss, design chart, and complete instructions, padded mounting boards, and a 3-inch tart tin, and self-adhesive magnets. So that's what came in the kit. I did go onto the Stony Creek website. These are no longer listed. Doesn't mean you can't get them, whether it's eBay or, you know, potentially Etsy or stash unloading sites, but those are what they look like. And I tried to see, because sometimes when they discontinue kits, like I could see them turning this into a book of charts, and I couldn't find anything like that either. But yeah, like, yeah, I think they're nice. I don't have any. And the other interesting thing is this is the January, February 1995 one. And I also thought it was interesting, even on the cover, you know, because there's been a lot of discussion in the community about skin tones and all that kind of stuff. So as far back as 1995, Stony Creek was providing alternate skin tones. You know, so yes, the whole picture is stitched, you know, essentially with the white children, but they have done a couple of them to show you what the options are. And I think they gave yeah, so they gave an African American skin tone, a Hispanic skin tone, and an Asian skin tone. So this is back as far as 1995. Stony Creek was putting out alternate skin palettes, which was great. All right. Now, so as I was putting things away, and certainly with the cross-stitching stuff, I was putting things into my X-Stitch app, so I knew what I had. And you know that I bought a few older magazines that I bought them purely because I liked what was on the front cover. But as I was getting ready to put them away, I was going through the magazines, and oh my goodness, did I score! I scored more than I thought I did. Dear people, this is the let's make sure I'm not lying when I do this. January, February 1996 Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazine, which I bought it because of the picture that was on the front. But I was going through the magazine so I could make a note if there was anything else in this magazine that I wanted. And I got in there and went, oh, this is the one. This is the magazine. Let me just, you know, find... of course I can't find it easily. But it is in here. There it is. This is the magazine that has Christmas bells. So the words around it are the words to I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. Now, why am I so excited about this? Well, Deb, the traveling stocking stitcher, was working on this one, and I loved it. I loved it. There are probably a couple of colors in here that I'm planning on changing when I stitch it. But I loved it. And then, you know, she was really great because she said, this is where it's from. It's an older chart. This is the magazine that it's from, etc., etc. And I said to myself, really, you have a life's worth of stitching already in your house. So as much as you love this, you know, you've got a lot of Christmas things to stitch and it's totally fine. You don't need to go out and, you know, find this one. It's going to be okay. You know, it's an older magazine. It's from 1996. It's probably going to be harder to find, and you will be fine. I have it. I got it at the fabric and yard sale. So you need to go to, I forgot to look up which one it is. I went to her Instagram account and just went, oh yeah, no, this is exactly right. She, of course, turned this into a stocking. And down below this, she stitched, you know, some of the music and additional words from the other verses to this. I want to do this and do that same thing, put the music down below. So I did reach out to Deb to see if she'd actually charted it. She did come back to me. I'm expecting we're going to have a little bit of a conversation. It's going to be awesome, but I am so excited about this one. I have this one. Now this magazine is even better than what I thought it was going to be. And this has leapfrogged the one on the front by a lot as to where it's fitting into the plan. I'm very excited about this. It's going to be lovely. I won't do it as a stocking, but I envy, yeah, if you haven't watched Deb the Traveling Stocking Stitcher, particularly like that one where she showed all the stockings that were hanging up at Christmas and like around all the windows, and I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I'm envious of how it looks. I'm envious of what it does, but I don't have windows like that. That isn't my setup, but I was like, yeah, I would like to have it look like that, but that's not what my window situation is like. Anyway, I look at it and go, isn't it lovely? Lovely. And yeah, like how amazing is she for the number of things that she takes and finds ways to put them into a stocking is just, it's amazing. So yay! That one is in the 5-year plan. Very excited about that. I also did take some time to use my ball winder. Had a little bit, this is the gray from that poncho. So I just did a quick little, you know, spin through this one and went, never mind, we'll just wind it all up and see where we're at. So it seems to be working just fine. Because, you know, I couldn't let it go without trying to wind something. Then, so one of the things I was thinking about as I was getting the fabric ready to be put away was, so I've got these acid-free comic book boards that I'm sort of winding all the fabric around so that it, you know, stacks nicely and etc. etc. So this is that gray gingham with the, you can see a little bit of the sparkle that's running through it. And so as I was refolding the fabrics and putting them on the boards and etc. etc., I was trying to think of things going like, okay, so what should I be using this for? And, you know, can I come up with anything? And actually, let's do this. Yeah, that'll work. Don't you think that green fabric will be great to do something? So this is the Bent Creek. I don't remember what the name of it is, but it's the Shamrocky one, their alphabet that I did, you know, last year, I think. But yes, I have a plan for how I want to have this finished, and I went, ooh, I think that's the fabric to do that. So that's on the potential, you know, could be turned into a fully finished object perhaps by the end of this year. If I did it by the end of this year, that would be best because, you know, then I would have it ready for March of next year. But yes, so I've been sort of looking at things and eyeing them up. This particular finish, I don't think I'm actually going to need Cheryl's help on, but don't worry, Cheryl, you will be called upon to do your penance. Don't you worry about that. And then, my lovely, you know, needlework project from Woodwards, which I said to a friend of mine, I said, like, the oddest thing, even just looking at this picture and the Woodwards sticker just makes me happy, just having this in the house. And it's still out. It hasn't gone away anywhere because I look at it and I think of my aunt and I think about Woodwards, which makes me think about Uncle Ole, which is a completely different story. Anyway, So it's staying out. But I did open it up because I had a moment going like, you know, I should like, I mean, I just bought it because for the price, like you just walked out of the sale with this thing. But yeah, it's a full, I think it's the full kit. I haven't gone through all the skeins of wool in here to make sure that they're all there, but the pattern is in there. The fabric is, the canvas is in there. You know, they've even got the little swatch so that you can sort of do the little sample things on. It's great. So it's all in there. And they do have DMC, combination of DMC and anchor conversions in there. So I could turn it into a cross stitch project if I wanted. So I was thinking about that. And then I just got to the point and I went, even if I turned it into a cross stitch project, it's not going to remind me so much of Auntie Lynn because she didn't do hers as a cross stitch project. So I've now decided I am planning on doing this. I am planning on doing this as a needlework project. So that's going to be coming up. And then I had a moment. It's like, so while we were at the sale, the friend that I was there with said to me, he's like, oh my goodness, they have all these scroll rods and frames and hoops and like to beat the band at, you know, ridiculously low prices. Did I need any? And I was like, I've talked myself into like, you have enough. You have enough. You don't need any more. Even at a really good price, you're good. You're fine. You don't need anything more. And then I was looking at this canvas work piece going like, nuts. What happens if I don't have a scroll rod that is the right size for this project? I'm going to be really annoyed with myself. Anyway, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. So I did go to my stash of scroll rods. This is an older scroll rod that I have that, quite frankly, I have never used since I got it. Because this is my grandma's. My grandma used this for her needlework projects. And it fits the canvas that's in the kit. So yeah, it's going to turn into a really meaningful stitch as I think of Auntie Lynn, because that's the picture that was hanging on her living room wall, like as long as I can remember. That was been sitting on her wall, and stitching it on the scroll frame that my grandmother used when she was doing a lot of her needlework pictures. As I've told the story before, that she originally started out and she did a needlework picture for each of her 3 daughters. Everybody gets to pick their own. So she looked after the 3 daughters and then she moved on to her grandchildren, and she did a needlework project for each of her grandchildren, of which there were 7. And so each of them got a needlework picture, and then she moved on to her sons-in-law so that they each got one as well. So before she passed away, before she lost her sight and she wasn't able to do needlework anymore, she managed to get everyone in her family has a needlework picture that she stitched specifically for them. They picked out what the piece was going to be, and she stitched it for them. Now, I'm the problem child, sort of. The one that I picked out was one, so most of them were ones where the picture was like painted onto the canvas, right? So you could just follow what was on the canvas. I was the problem grandchild, and I picked out one that was a pattern, which is what this Poppies is. It's a pattern, and she followed it, and it was me. So we picked out the pattern, we went to the store so I could pick it out, we pulled the colors, then I changed the colors. So I un-yellowed it, you know, quite a bit. Took out the peaches and oranges and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, problem child. And so did the thing and changed the colors. And then she stitched that at the end. She's like, we're not doing that again. So I was the only one that was stitched from a pattern, and nobody after me got the opportunity to pick one from a pattern. She wasn't doing that again, but I'm very grateful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And, you know, as we've gone through things, you know, my parents are getting older, and, you know, we've had discussions about who gets the pictures, and the answer is, you know, Mom has her picture, Dad has his picture. They can go to other people in the family. I don't need them. You know, they're not necessarily me. I have the one that I love. It's the one that Grandma did for me, and that's all I need. So other people in the family can get the other needlework pictures, but I get, you know, not surprisingly, I get the one that Grandma did for me. So yeah, Yeah, it was an easy part of the conversation where people kind of look at me because I'm the last in my branch of the family that does needlework of any kind. And I think they were kind of like going, "Ooh, she's going to want these." And I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm good." Anyway, so this has been worked into the 5-year plan. All right. With that, we're at 25 minutes in. Let's get on to some, I'm just making sure that I don't have any other topics for carryover stuff. Although I will say that blue fabric, when I got in there, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's fantastic. It's 28 count I forget. I want to say it's Little Boy Blue Jobelan, which of course is a discontinued. Thought I could find it easily. Oh, no. Forget Me Not Blue Jobelan, which is no longer being produced. So I'm, yes, even more grateful. Well worth the price just to get that fabric. All right, let's get into some stitching. All right, so not surprisingly, by the time I recorded the Hallapalooza and anyway, my usual Sunday night stitching turned into no stitching whatsoever. So Monday I was like, you need to do your Sunday stitching now, because it is the start of my new ABC piece. Since my first one went so swimmingly well, so in my plan for this year, it was going to take me all year to get the spring ABCs done. And I beetled ahead on that one. So now we're working on number 2. And it's from the same series, so also from Little House Needleworks. This is the winter ABCs. Now, I know people will go, why don't you do summer? Don't worry, there's a plan. But I moved on to winter because I go, if I start it now, there's a shot, and everybody can smirk and chuckle to your heart's content. There's a shot I could turn this in, get it stitched and turn it into a fully finished object before Christmas Day. See, I'm giving myself lots of time to pull that one off. So this is what it looks like. I don't actually have, that's not true, I do. The called for, what they stitched this on was 32 count vintage tundra linen by Lakeside Linens. I made my decision on my fabric last week, so I am stitching this on 28 count Springfield Sage Lugana. And I'm very happy with my choice. I think it's perfect for this piece. So yes, you'll see how well I did. I worked on my weight, and I got at least one whole letter completed. There's a whole bunch of other things, and I didn't have my brown picked out. But I have my brown picked out now, and I'm not going with mocha. I'm using classic Colorworks Cocoa Bean, because I have a lot of that color in the house, because remember I kept trying to find ones that went with the tree from my temperature treat, which I've not yet finished. Anyway, so there's lots of cocoa bean in the house, so that was, as soon as I turned a quarter, I was like, oh, cocoa bean, I can do cocoa bean. So there's a skein of cocoa bean, so I can now start to work on the tree up here. Now I am using the Cosmo 100 floss for the white in this, because I showed that, I think that was last week, 2 weeks ago, as part of my Stashquisitions, because there was someone commenting that they felt that Cosmo floss gave better white coverage. Here are my thoughts on Cosmo floss. I was really excited when I pulled the skein out because it felt very soft and fluffy, and I went, like, I could see why this, why people say that this gives really good white coverage. I am using 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads on 28 count. But then when I started to strand it down, I was like, they felt a little thin. Now, I haven't done a comparison between like DMC white and Anchor white versus, whether it was just something that was in my head, but it felt a little thinner. I started and went, well, we'll see. If I don't like the coverage, we're early stages. It's no problem to swap this out. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's showing up decently, etc., etc. I think the coverage is fine for this. So I am going to continue to use the Cosmo floss on this project. Am I going to rush out again and buy more Cosmo floss? I don't know about that. I've bought a bunch of Cosmo floss that are variegated from their variegated line. I'm totally fine using it. Again, for those ones, for those variegated threads, it will be what it always is. Color trumps. And if it's the color version I want, that's what's going to win. But yes, you know, do I think Cosmo floss gives better coverage than Anchor or DMC? No. And I would say Cosmo floss is more expensive, certainly where I am. So I don't know, you know, I'll use up what I've got. It's totally fine. I will use up what I've got. I don't know that I would go back and get more white Cosmo floss. But it's fine. Like I said, I'm going to use it on this project. Maybe by the time I get to Z, I'll like it better. I don't know. In my head, I'm going like, you should probably do this little thing going like, here's Anchor white versus DMC white versus Cosmo white on a piece of fabric. So, you know, it's a topic for another day. Note to self, I should write that down on a post-it note so I can remember that for some point in time and do that so that's all on the same fabric on the background and show what it looks like. Now, I specifically did 28 count, was looking for 28 count fabric for this because I started this spring one on a 28 count. And my plan is, however these are going to end up being fully finished, I want them to be interchangeable so that I have one piece that has a location in my house where I can go, okay, here's the spring version, take it off, put on the summer version, take it off, put on the autumn version, take it off, put on the winter one, etc. So that's why now that given that the first one was started on 28 count, all of them are going to be on 28 count, which is totally fine. So here it is. The Springfield Sage is just a lovely, I was very happy that I chose this once I started working on it because it's hard to tell in the camera, but it is in real life, it is a greeny gray, but it's got that. So I'm very happy with this. I'm having that moment going like, now I've still got a decent chunk left in my stash. So I'm trying to rein myself in, wait till we get to Stashquisitions. That's a whole other conversation. But I've had a moment going, I might want to get another piece of this. I wish they made it in 32 count because then I would definitely have to get some because I think it's a really great colorway. So yeah, Springfield Sage. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Wait a minute. Oh, good. I was just like, I've lost the picture, and if I don't keep things together, there's going to be a gigantic problem. Okay, so then I tried to continue on with my monthly Quaker, which I was super, super behind on because I made a really, really big error. So From the Heart, Needle Art by Wendy. This is the May Quaker. I am stitching this on 40 count white Verdal, using Classic Colorworks, Erin Go Emerald, Lemongrass, and Pickled Beets, 2 of which are the called for colors. The Erin Go Emerald is not the called for. So I made progress. I'm not done yet, and there's a lot to go. I was looking at the stitch count, and I was like, there's a lot to go. So I ripped out all of this and put it back in. So everything sort of from here below is now complete, and I'm working my way up. You know, so the purple is now in there. It's not showing up on camera very well. We'll see what happens the next time I show this. But there's probably another 1,500 stitches to go on this. So I'm now getting a little bit worried about my monthly Quakers because, you know, I started off and went, no, this is doable. I can do this. It doesn't take away that much time. I'm a little worried that she started off nice, and then as she got further into the series, she got more good about putting more elements in there and filling them up because there's almost 3,000 stitches in this particular one. Anyway, there's a lot left to go on this, so I need to get my little tuchus into gear and get stitching, which could be a problem, which we'll talk about in plans. But made progress, got it ripped out, so I'm feeling better about it. Made progress, it's coming together. It should be done this month. And then, of course, this week was May the 11th, and on the 11th of every month, I stitch on my Remember 911 by Just Nan, which I think is an out-of-print chart now. Yes, I'm finally getting around to it, which is totally fine by me. I did watch Carolyn Zook's Flosstube from last week, where she talked about she went to see the musical Come From Away and she really enjoyed it, which was great because I am on the same boat. If you ever have a chance to go see Come From Away, go see it. Go see it, go see it, go see it. It is really fantastic. I've now seen it 3 times, and I would go see it again and enjoy it just as much. Probably not quite as much as the very first time when everything was brand new, but I would really enjoy. I would go again. Everyone that has gone with me to Come From Away has said, "Oh no, I would go see this again in a heartbeat." So if you ever have the chance to go see it, it really is a fantastic musical. And as I've said, I worked with a guy who is from Gander, Newfoundland, which is the setting for the musical. And the Gander people that are portrayed in that musical, he knows personally. So those people are real honest to goodness people in Gander at the time that had those positions at the time of 9/11. And he went and saw it and he said, "Oh yeah, no, they've done a really good job of portraying those people as they are in real life," which I thought was really fantastic. So in case you get in there and go like, are they really like this? According to my friend who's from Gander and who knows them all, he said, "Oh yeah, no, that's how they are. Absolutely." And as I think I said this one of the times that I came here, they were sort of offering up posters that were signed by some of the actual Gander people, and they were sort of auctioning it off for charity. I bought a different version of the poster because, you know, the auction price on that one was going up fairly high, and I was like, I want to donate to the charity in support of both the musical and what they're trying to do for charity. But you know, they're couldn't quite go to some of the numbers on that particular poster. And I told this guy that I worked with, and he said, "Oh, for heaven's sake, please tell me." I was like, I didn't buy it. He's like, "I'm going home at Christmas. You just give me the poster. I can go to Newfoundland and get them. Like, I can come back with a poster signed for you by all of these same people." I didn't have him do it. I'm totally fine, but I just laughed. He's like going, "Oh my goodness, don't ever pay for that. You can get me to get that for you for free." Anyway, it was a great conversation. Anyway, so 9/11, the 11th, I think, was Thursday. And so I stayed up ridiculously late to work on this because I was behind because I'd had that error the last time I worked on it. So I said to myself, you need to make a lot of progress on this. So what did I get accomplished? I got accomplished, so from this colored border here, all the way down to this one is what I stitched on the 11th of this month. So I made a lot of progress on that, so I'm feeling a bit better. But it'll tell you how late I stayed up to, because technically I ran out of floss here. There's like 4 regular cross stitches left where there's nothing there. And I was just like, I just can't haul out another thread and no. So I was like, it's too late. You've made a lot of progress tonight. It's way past when you should be in bed. So give up, and it's totally fine. There's a band. This is going to be really scary because this is the band that says Remember, and it's done over 1 over 1. And then there's another one of the multicolored borders. So I was like, you're going to be totally fine. Do your 1 over 1, and then you can just finish this off and carry on with your next one. It's all going to be fine. If you were here at the beginning, we had a little bit of a conversation about the order that I was going to do this, and really with the length of specialty floss that was in my kit, like you could fussy cut it, but I don't like when I fussy cut because there's only a limited amount in the kit and it makes me nervous when I start to try to get cute. So really what I'm doing, I'm just alternating. So this is starting at one end, this is starting at the other end, back to the first end. And so that's just how I'm reversing. So the next one is going to be another blue. And I'm totally fine with how this is looking on my piece. So yeah, made a lot of progress. A little concerned about next month because that's when we're going to be doing, like, there's a whole band of over one, which is, you know, going to be slow stitching for me. But it's coming along. And again, all of this, you know, this was worked into the plan, and this has just been stitching it one day a month, and in some cases unstitching and restitching, but you get the gist. Sorry, it's getting very warm in here. I've actually got several of the drapes still closed, but I've got a couple of them open to make sure that we've got natural light coming in. But oh my goodness, it's going to be a glorious week. I'm currently on my lemonade kick, but I've said to myself, I need to get on my peach mango kick, which means specifically I need to take the peach mango juice and make the ice cubes out of it quick, so that I've got peach mango ice cubes sitting in the freezer waiting for me. Okay, and last but not least, because this is May and I'm theoretically working on my mania, which I don't feel like I'm doing a good job, because I'm planning on working on Mirabilia, particularly the April's Blue Diamond. So that's what that's supposed to look like. I did get some stitches in. I was looking at it going, it's, I think, a little bit hard to tell. I am stitching this on a 32 count Aerial Lugana by Picture This Plus. I think I'm very happy with my fabric choice. So far, I think it's going to look amazing, particularly as we get up in the wings and all the things at the top. So what did I get accomplished this week? I continued, it's hard to tell, but I actually filled in some of these flowers. This one's still got quite a ways. It's got about 3 colors left to go in there. And there's, I think, one color left to go. Like there's one stitch in a couple of them and it's just one color. This one's got a few more of that, but getting close, and was working on the leaves. I did the Krynic. It's a Krynic number 8 braid, and I was going to check online to see if that particular color comes in a number 4. Because now I've already started with the number 8, so we're probably going to finish it with the number 8. But if you have it in your stash and are going to stitch it at some point, like I say, wait for me to check to see if this is Krynic 1432. If it comes in a number 4 braid, use the number 4 braid. Anyway, it's a little bit bulky on a 32, particularly a Picture This Plus 32. It's in there, it's fine, it's okay. I think I would have been happier with a number 4. And there's about 250, like, you know, my goal for this week is that I was hoping to come back here and say, like, this, because the way that I have this chart divided up in Markup RXP is that there's 3 pages. I was really hoping that by the time I saw you today that all of this bottom would be done, and it's not. Now there's about 250 stitches, cross stitches left to go in this bottom page before I'm done. So hopefully one more evening and I can get it all complete. I was going to work on the back stitching, but I was looking at it and, you know, there's a whole bunch of beads. So there's about 3, just in this bottom section here, like across here, there's about 300 beads that need to go in. And, you know, my plan's like, just get the back stitching done. But with back stitching and beads, I really think for some of the places I need to get the beads in and figure out how I'm going to back stitch around them. So that's, I think I can get the back stitching done on the flowers, but the stems, I think I'm going to wait until the end after the beading gets in. Check back later. And the funny thing is, because this is where this page ends, there are 5 more flowers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 5 more flowers that are up here in the next page. So I will be continuing with those colors, but I just wasn't going to flip back and forth between the pages and counting and things. I just like, let's just get this page done other than the beading and the back stitching and call it done and move on to the next page. The next page has about 4,000 stitches on that page. Yeah, about 4,000. According to Markup RXP, there's about 4,000 stitches to be done on that next page. I haven't gone through to see how many of them are beads, so that will reduce that number somewhat. I'm really afraid of how many beads, because the further up we go, the more beady it gets. So we'll see. So finish this off, scroll, roll it up, so then I can work on page number 3. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so if I'm really well, when I show this next week, I'll probably unscroll it in some versions so that you can see everything. And then, yes, I'm working my way up, which is a little bit counterintuitive for a lot of people. But I made some progress, not nearly as much as I wanted. Hopefully I'll get a lot done this week, but I've still got to finish my May Quaker. It's getting a little bit worrisome. All right. So that is the stitching that I got done this week. So it was an okay stitching week, just didn't quite get the things accomplished that I wanted to get accomplished. The kids are outside, you may hear them. All right, with that, let's talk about Stashquisitions. Now, if anybody out there is going like, I'm sorry, what? We did Hollapalooza last week. Sorry. With the embarrassment of riches last week, there's no way that I should be having a Stashquisition section for quite some time. Fair warning, there's going to be Stashquisition sections. So I've got this week's Stashquisitions. I have put in some orders, and we'll talk about that once I show you this bit of Stashquisitioning. As I was pulling everything together out here, I was like, I had them going like, where is this? Like, it's all in a bag together. What is your problem? What is going on? Anyway, I found it. It was, you know, sitting underneath some crocheting. Anyway. Whoops. All right. There's my bag. It's going to go back into the bag. Okay, let's talk about, so I got some fabric. These are items that I got from Traditional Stitches. This is a piece of 32 count Calypso Lugana. Now, yeah, that's about right. 32 count Calypso Lugana by Picture This Plus. And I've managed to get a hair on it. Here's the story behind this one. I placed, because, you know, it's challenging getting Picture This Plus, and they've still got a ridiculously long lag time. I ordered this fabric from Traditional Stitches in December of 2021. Now, I know that it was in their, like, the very next order that they did with Picture This Plus, and I knew I was going to have to wait. And, you know, they knew. I was like, it's going to take, you know, it could take up to a year, right? So I was kind of thinking at the beginning of this year, at some point, I was going to get a phone call or an email from Traditional Stitches saying that my fabric had come in. And I didn't get it, and I didn't get it. And I think at some point I was out there and was talking to Janice, and I was kind of like, I'm a little surprised. She's like, oh yeah, like that order is like, yeah, it's the next one up, but it was, yeah. So I've waited, I had to wait 16 months for this piece of fabric. Now, I'm totally fine with that. When I ordered this fabric, I knew I was going to have to wait for it. The project that so this is for a very specific project. That project does not appear in my 5-year plan at all at this point in time, because, you know, one of the things was like, let's wait and see when I get the fabric. But I finally did get the fabric, so I can put the project together. But yeah, 16 months. Now, this had nothing to do with the store. This has everything to do with Picture This Plus. And like the Aerial Lugana that I'm using for April's Blue Diamond, I am going to check my stash and see if I've got another piece of that, because I really like it. I really, really like it. It's that whole light blue, airy, not overly modeled 27 things. You know, and if I don't have another piece of Aerial sitting in my stash because I used a full quarter to do that Mirabilia, it's probably likely that I will be ordering another fat quarter. Now, as soon as I say that, I'm ordering another fat quarter. Maybe I should order a fat half because I really like it. Anyway, I can see me, I'll have to check the stash, but I can see me ordering another piece of that for the stash because I like it so much. I know. Anyway. And then I picked up, this is a piece of 28 count Picture This Plus Lugana. Now these are ones like the Calypso I'd seen shown as a Lugana, so I was totally fine with that. The interesting thing about Picture This Plus Luganas, particularly as you head towards like the blues, what it looks like on the linen and what it looks like on the Lugana can be, you know, noticeably different. So on some of them I'd like to see it before I order it, which makes it really hard because anyway. Whoops. So this is a piece of Gothic Picture This Plus 28 count Lugana. I've got plans for this as well. So I know what the concept is for what this is going towards. Another item that I had ordered was Gloriana Silk and Poinsettia. I needed 2 skeins for a project that is coming up in the 5-year plan. It's, you know, again, it takes a long time to get Gloriana, so I don't remember when I placed this order, but again, even when I placed the order, I knew I was going to have to wait quite a while, like months before this was going to arrive. And it's not that I didn't want to sub it, I didn't want to try blah 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 27 things. I was specifically looking for poinsettia for this project. I needed 2 skeins, and again, because I'm working on kitting up a 5-year plan as opposed to just next year, you know, so it takes a whole bunch of months before this arrives. I was totally fine, and I think I've probably got like a year from now before I actually need this, so we're totally good. So I have my 2 skeins of poinsettia for that project. That's project specific. These I picked up while I was there. I have these, this pair out here in the sunroom for this stitching, and I enjoyed them, so I just decided I needed another pair. I'm planning on putting this in my Stitching at the Library bag. These are going to become Stitching at the Library bag scissors. And then last but by no means least is the one chart that I ordered from the Nashville Needlework Market 2023 items that I ordered for myself. Now I ordered after market was over, right? Brilliant, smart. But I didn't see this until after it was over, so I don't know if it wasn't on the website or only when they got there. And anyway, not sure, doesn't matter. And they, you know, I ordered it from Traditional Stitches. I looked at a few places and didn't really see it, but it was on the Traditional Stitches website. I ordered it. They didn't have it in stock, which again, totally fine. I'm working off a 5-year plan. I can wait for it to come in, and went and picked it up. So it's from Noteworthy Needle, Charming Christmas, complete with all of the charms in this pack. I think this is fantastic. The called for fabric is a 32 count white Belfast linen. The called for floss is DMC 498. But as with anything, you can turn this into whatever you want. You know, one of the things I like is that the sort of centers are different. They're not just squares. You know, here's well, I'm calling it an ornament shaped thing. This one's got a little bit of curve. Some of them are squares and rectangles, but you know, they're not, you know, a triangle shaped one for the tree one. And that the background pattern for each of the charms is, you know, so here's the snowflake with a snowflake background. Here's the reindeer with, you know, a design that I can see on, like, I think of like Nordic sweaters. You know, this is a candy cane, and these are like 4 candy canes in the different directions. Like, I love it. Do you have to do it red on white? No. You could do blue on white, green on white, white on red, white on burgundy, white on navy, white on green, white on whatever, you know, whatever color you want. It would just be fantastic. So this is one where I wasn't holding out to use it as a reward. I was like, get it now, because you just never know in Nashville things. And, you know, because of the charm pack, like some of them, I know that there are ones where, like, these are at previous Nashvilles. Like, you could order them and you can get the charms, but later on, you can still order the pattern, but you can't get the charm pack, or you can't get the button pack or whatever. My answer was, I love it, I love it, I love it. It has to come home. I ordered it and picked it up. Now, I had this before we did Hollapalooza, but I figured Hollapalooza was bad enough it could wait a week. But yeah, I love this, love this, love this. This is going to have to get worked into the 5-year plan. And just, you know, I've just worked it in. I've just figured out exactly where it's going to fit. All right. Those are my Stashquisitions to show you for this week, which, as I said, I have no business with more Stashquisitions, but I do. Just to let you know what's happening with the Stashquisition component of the videos for the next, you know, who knows how long. There's going to be more Stashquisitions. Yeah. I have already this week put in 2 orders for things. I have 2 more orders to go in. These are all going into different shops. So the first 2 orders have gone into different shops. I have 2 more orders to go in 2 different shops. I have some stuff that I am planning on picking up. Like, there's some stuff I'm going to start off at Michael's to see if I can get, and then some other stuff that I'm planning on kitting up at one of my local shops here. We'll see who's got what. And so yeah, as much as sane people out there going like, really? Did you see how much stuff you got last week? Yeah, I got a lot. And anyway, some of the acquisitions are the direct fault of Hollapalooza. So I'll explain that when those items show up. But yes, it's really because I'm starting to kit up certain things from Hollapalooza to go into the 5-year plan. And some of the things are already in the 5-year plan. Absolutely, I've found spots for them, and we'll be excited to work on them when we get there. Like I say, this has been worked into the 5-year plan. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to do this thing. That's not the point. And as I was talking to a friend of mine, I said, like, I don't care if it takes me 10 years to do this, because it means every single time I work on this, I'm going to think about both my aunt and my grandma, because this is her picture, and I'll be working it on grandma's scroll rods. Yeah, this will turn into a huge memory item. I have that moment. I'm not actually going to tell my mom that I'm working on this. It'll be interesting whenever it gets finished, hopefully in her lifetime, and get it framed. It will be really interesting to pick up that framing and then show it to her. She'll be very surprised. Anyway, all right, let's talk plans. So my plans for this week are, I need to absolutely make progress on my April's Blue Diamond, and I need to get that darn Quaker finished. I need to make time to work on that, but I'm struggling because of the weather. So my problem is when it gets gloriously warm and sunny and fantastic and all that stuff, I want to be outside enjoying the sunshine and the warmth and the Slurpee and the tunes and reading a book. Like, that's my whole thing. Put me out on my upstairs balcony with a good book, well, sometimes depending, either I'm reading a book with tunes, or I'm listening to an audiobook and trying to work on getting stuff into Markup RXP with my Slurpee. And anyway, like, that's a good time for me, and I can do that for hours. I cannot stitch outside. I do not have the capability. Like, for all of you who can pull that off, kudos to you. I can't pull it off. So once we get into glorious weather, I am distracted because, you know, like this week I'm going like every afternoon, and the long weekend is going to be stunning. You know, it's a great time to come home and go outside and enjoy the sunshine, and there's yard work to be done, and I've got plants to get planted, and so I've got to do some planting, and I've got to mow the lawn, and like, so now, like, suddenly all of the yard work stuff has to be fitted into the schedule. It's easy in the winter when you looked out there, and as long as the shoveling was done, you were done. Now there's things to be done. And I like having the flowers, and I like all of that stuff, and I've got sweet peas to plant against these windows. I've got these big arches that I use that go against the windows just across from me, so that, you know, when the sweet peas are tall and in full bloom, I can look out those windows and just have like 3 large windows length of sweet peas, which will be awesome. I got sweet peas this year by the skin of my teeth. It's really hard to find sweet pea plants, and people go, yeah, you can grow them from seed. I am not good growing from seed. It's a miracle that those geraniums that I bought in March are still alive and like are good to go to be planted and put outside. But anyway, I managed to get some sweet peas for me. I got to this particular place, which is where I got, so I couldn't find them last year anywhere. 2 years ago, I got them, and so I went to the same place I got them 2 years ago, and, you know, I phoned before I even went, and they said, yeah, we've got lots, and I got there and went, this is not lots. So I grabbed everything that they had, and some of them are for me, and then the funny thing is I phoned my hairdresser, because we talk about this all the time, and I said, I picked some up for you. She's like, you did what? And I'm like, I picked some up for you. And it was like, if you want them, great, they're yours. If you don't want them, no problem. I will find a place to plant these. And she's like, I'm taking them. So one of my trips this weekend was actually to run down to my hairdresser. Do you know the pressure of showing up your hairdressers, like on a regular not getting your hair done day? Oh my goodness. Anyway, ran them down there, and she was thrilled that she got them. So I'm happy to help her out. Anyway, so all of that's coming up. So between trying to get all of that done, I need to get a whole bunch of stitching. Now, don't get me wrong. Come nighttime, this room is amazing, and I love being in this room. It's going to be great. If we start hitting, so the temperatures this week, the highs are going to be anywhere from like some between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Right? Great temperatures. You know, some people, as they're heading into summer and they're heading into like, you know, 100 plus degree Fahrenheit temperatures, those are not quite so pleasant. But, you know, 75 to 85, that's my kind of weather. Sunshiny, glorious. Like I say, I wish I would give up the sunshiny and warm if like the province could get a good dousing of rain. We did have our first not wildfire, there's a grass fire. It's like, it's not a wildfire, it's a grass fire to the east of the city. And I was like, again, this is May. This is very, very early in the season for this to be occurring. So a little bit concerned. Lovely for me, not great. And for those poor firefighters, this is like disastrous. So thoughts and prayers are with them and trying to get that. Like one of the reports, they were talking about one of the out of control wildfires, and it's like a 65-kilometer front on that wildfire, and you're just like, with all their, like, whew, those people who do that are amazing. It's certainly not a job that I could pull off, so kudos to them. I'm thinking icy, rainy thoughts for them. You know, a Slurpee, some rain. I think that would go over well. Maybe an iced coffee. I don't know. Anyway, So that's my plan for this week. Unfortunately, it's going to be a combination of outside work, outside just enjoying the sunshine and trying to fit in some stitching and hopefully getting a bunch done. So I don't know what it's going to look like next week. Sorry, let me just move this over here. Just a quick reminder, announcements. If you're in the Greater Calgary area, the Victoria Day long weekend is coming up for us here in Canada. So this next weekend. So it's a long weekend. We get the Monday off. And we're having beautiful weather. Beautiful weather. Frequently where I live, the May long weekend is a sucky weekend. It's a long weekend and it's rainy. There's been snow, cold, 27 things. The number of times we've had a yucky May long weekend far outnumber the, oh my goodness, it's a glorious Victoria Day long weekend. We're going to have a glorious Victoria Day long weekend, of course, named for Queen Victoria. So I'm planning on enjoying that, and it's going to, on the Saturday, it's going to start off really, really well because we are having stitching at the library, at the Signal Hill Library here in Calgary from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30. Like I say, if you're in the area, even if you just want to stop in and meet people, come on over and see us. We'd love to see you, meet you, show you what we're stitching on. I don't know how many of us are going to make it because it is the May long weekend, but there are certainly several of us that are planning on being there and stitching away, so it's going to be great. So like I say, you don't need to let us know in advance that you're coming. We've got lots of room in the room that we've got booked. You're more than welcome to stop in, and we'd love to see you. All right, with that, crocheting. I did get a little bit of crocheting in this week. So I have, now I don't remember because, you know, the pattern's a repeat. So I've now done my last batch of rows on my gigantic granny square, you know, lap gown. And I have stitched the first part of the border. There's only one more part to go, and it's white. It's a white picot edging, and I said to myself, you don't need to do the picot. I've decided, you know what, this is for me, and why not do it and practice it? So just do something new. So I am going to do the picot edging on this. Once that's done, it does need to be blocked. But it's, yeah, so one more color of white, 2 rounds, and then this is fully complete. So I will 2 lap gowns complete this year, Cheryl. And then what I've said to myself is I'm not allowed to start anything new until I finish that plaid poncho and do the weaving. So I've said, as much as, you know, it would be fun to start another project, I have said I'm not starting another project until the plaid poncho is done. And then at that point I can start 2, because both of my project bags will be empty. All right. It's still over an hour, but I am going to wrap this up. Really, the topic for this week is Happy Mother's Day. So I'm wishing all of you a Happy Mother's Day, period. Regardless of gender, 27 things. I know for some people, Mother's Day is a sensitive topic. For Mother's Day this year, it's a sad topic for a variety of reasons. For others, this is a glorious day and fantastic. But I'm saying to all of you, if you have interactions with children, and hopefully they're all positive interactions, if you have interactions with children and you're part of children's lives, Happy Mother's Day to you. I am a firm believer in it takes a village to raise children, and that all of us, so whether, you know, the kids next door, they are not my children, but you know, I'm fostering a relationship with them, and I want to be you know, a positive influence, you know, have the chat with the kids about school, you know, when I'm getting the balls back across the across the fence, not being the cranky neighbor about, you know, when they need to come in. You know, I think back to that when they came the first time to knock on the door to say, we knocked a ball over into your yard. Can we, is it okay if we go into your backyard? And I just said, This is the only time you're ever going to have to ring my doorbell. You are always more than welcome to come into the backyard. Things happen, balls, frisbees, 20 things, and like the relative that was with them is like, really? I'm like, yeah, anytime, doesn't matter. You never need to ring my doorbell ever again on this topic. If something goes sailing over the fence, come in whenever, right away, you know, half hour later, okay, 2 days later, maybe. You know, if I go out there and I discover a ball that nobody came and reclaimed and I'm mowing the lawn, it's going to get thrown back across the fence. But you never have to ask again. You're always more than welcome just to come into the backyard and retrieve whatever it is that came sailing across the fence. You know, because I remember as a kid, it felt weird going into the neighbors. Like if it was a neighbor that didn't have kids that you played with, it felt weird going into their backyard. So I just wanted, you know, just make it easy for them. Anyway. Happy Mother's Day to everyone, regardless of, you know, if this is a good Mother's Day for you, that's great. If this is not your best Mother's Day for whatever reason, I'm really sorry for that. And I hope that you can find a little bit of enjoyment today. So I just wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to you. As always, thinking of the people of the Ukraine, and again, thinking of the people in northern Alberta, particularly those who are actively fighting the wildfires up there, thinking of the people that have had to be evacuated. It's stressful. There's a lot of stress going on, so thinking of them as well. So as always, safety first, safety first, safety first. I'm saying that to myself as well because I've got a number of lights that need changing, both inside the house and outside, but they're the ones where like there's a light in the light fixture up here, but I have to move furniture and get out the tall ladder, and I'm saying to myself, safety first when you do this. I need to get a spotter. So I hope you're staying safe, I hope you're staying healthy, and I hope you're finding some time to do some stitching, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, guys.